guys, if you're new to Deception Bytes, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. Hey guys, y'all came back and I'm glad. I'm here, you're here, and we can begin, I guess. It is Wednesday, May 1st. I can't believe, I don't know where April went, but it's gone. And I think May is going to fly by even faster because it's going to be a very heavy news month. And it's already been a heavy news month already. And this is just the first day. So we've got tons of Q-related news. Not sure I'll get to all of it, but I'm going to try my best. I'm going to keep my video shorter than the one yesterday. I'm going to try and do maybe two shorter videos and try and get at least the main stuff. We do not have any Q posts today to go over, so we're going to get right into the Q-related news. Alrighty. Now, I have been gone most of the day, and so some of this I had gathered earlier this morning before leaving, and I can't remember what it is, so just bear with me. But I do believe that I've got some things that are very critical that we need to get to. This being one of them. All right. Now, this is very, very interesting because this is Donald J. Trump's official YouTube channel. Yeah, so now he has his own YouTube channel. He's already got 162,000 subscribers, so he's popular already. So if you want to go out and find it on YouTube, just Google it and or just search for it in YouTube, and you should be able to find it, and you can subscribe. And I also clicked the bell so that I would be notified every time that he uploaded a new video. And this is very interesting. It's called Obama New, and it's only 2 minutes long, and I'm going to play it. Now, normally I wouldn't play somebody's video in its entirety because it's not fair to them, but I don't think that Donald Trump has monetized this or anything. So, and I think that he's more concerned with getting the message out there, obviously, if he did his own channel. So I think that's interesting. And I also think it makes me wonder if YouTube has relaxed a little bit, because I just find it strange that Donald J. Trump has his own channel. I do. And because YouTube has been just so ridiculous about kicking off patriots and, you know, censoring videos and so forth. So I don't know, but to me, it's a good sign. So let's listen to what he has to say and also read. Now, hopefully, maybe what I'll do is I'll make this, I'll full screen this so that you guys on your phone can also see it, because I think it is very important. So let me do that. And let's play this.
When any foreign government tries to impact the integrity of our elections, that we need to take action.
As the election campaign was in full swing, the National Security Advisor, Susan Rice, told the team to stand down. Stop working on options to counter the Russian attack.
The National Security Advisor of President Obama tells them to stand down, back off, and essentially in the end they did practically nothing.
But as far as your cyber response, you were told to stand down. Is that correct?
We were, those actions were put on the back burner, yes.
When I saw President Putin in China, I felt that the most effective way to ensure that that didn't happen was to talk to him directly and tell him to cut it out.
I think the Obama administration should have done a lot more. I think the administration needed to call out Russia earlier and needed to act to deter and punish Russia earlier. And I think that was a very serious mistake.
Are you disappointed in the reaction from the Obama administration to Russian meddling?
In my opinion, he didn't do enough.
There was smoke in the kitchen, and the response was to open the windows when we needed a fire extinguisher.
Do you think that the Obama administration choked?
Yes.
If you actually think this is a big deal and you're not just using it as a way to go after Donald Trump, you should be demanding accountability commissions for the previous president and those intelligence chiefs.
I think we handled it the way it should have been handled.
Interesting. And again, if you notice right here, this doesn't say Trump-Pence 2020. It says Trump-Pence, Make America Great Again, 45. And I think that's interesting because now I have yet to see a 2020 Trump sign or graphic or anything that says Trump-Pence 2020. So I know that's not what this is about, but I'm just pointing that out. And I think this is very well done. And, you know, it's unfortunate that Donald Trump has had to resort to this to get his message out. He's got to get it direct to the public, and this is the best way for him to do it because the mainstream media is not going to get his message out unobstructed. They're going to add their little digs and barbs in there and their little half-truths and mistruths and be economical with the truth, leave out truth. So he's doing what he has to do, which is exactly why they chose 8chan and 4chan to communicate with, because they knew there was a lot of computer geeks in there, and I mean that in the best way possible, and oddists, as they like to refer to themselves, and these are people that like to dig and like to, you know, they're computer people, so they like doing that kind of stuff, digging in and researching this stuff, and it was necessary to do that because that channel had no censorship whatsoever. Well, you can tell it has no censorship because when you go out there, you have to wade through a bunch of filth. Even in, you know, on the Q forums and stuff, like it's you still have to wade through filth because it's not censored. So that's why they chose that, and that's why they're choosing to get this message out this way, because you know how in love the media are with Obama. Still, that is their darling. It's their darling. So, and it is alarming that, you know, Obama knew and did nothing. Well, of course, I mean, he knew that they were spying on Trump as well and did nothing. He did nothing. I mean, of course, he instigated it. So anyway, now let's go back here and hang on here because here we go. Donald Trump, a tweet by Donald Trump. Why didn't President Obama do something about Russia in September before the November election when told by the FBI, which he clearly was? He did nothing and had no intention of doing anything. Yeah. So all very interesting indeed. So let's go on to the next thing. And
I don't think anybody would take.
Yeah, this is interesting too. Now this is 53 minutes long. Okay, I'm gonna take it back to the beginning, and I want you to hear his reactions, or you know, when towards a rigged election. He's calling it ridiculous. I just think this is all very, very fascinating. He's been caught saying these things. Now, this is only 53 seconds long, so I don't think it's going to overly tax anybody.
Of course the elections will not be rigged. What does that mean?
I do apologize for the sound in this. This is not my sound. It is the sound in this actual video. I'm hoping that you are able to hear it.
The federal government doesn't run the election process. States and cities and communities all across the country, they're the ones who set up the voting systems and the voting booths. And if Mr. Trump is suggesting that there is a conspiracy theory that is being propagated across the country, including in places like Texas, where typically it's not Democrats who are in charge of voting booths. That's ridiculous. That doesn't make any sense. And I don't think anybody would take that seriously.
Isn't that interesting? Where, you know, before Trump is elected, Obama's laughing at Trump saying that elections could be rigged. But then isn't that exactly what they charged? Saying that, Russia had rigged our elections. They had hacked into our elections and, pro-Trump. I mean, it's just, the whole thing is so bizarre that honestly, if this was a spy thriller movie or whatever, people would say that is absolutely ludicrous. This is the most ludicrous plot in the whole world, and it could never happen. Because truth really is stranger than fiction, and I think we've proved that in the last year and 3/4. Really, truth is far stranger than fiction. All right, and this from POTUS Press. AG Barr, we have multiple criminal leak investigations underway. Now, I don't know about you, but that makes me feel really good because I have a hard time. A lot of people say, well, Q keeps saying this is going to happen and that's going to happen and nothing ever happens. Well, we've got this from the Attorney General. Do you think the Attorney General is just going to make this stuff up? No. So he says, we have multiple criminal leak investigations underway. Criminal leak investigations. Ooh, so what's going to happen there? All right, now this is the most bizarre thing. This is, okay, you know how last video I said, well, this is the stupidest thing I've read. Well, at least it's the stupidest thing I've read today. Well, this right here is the stupidest thing I've read today. So far. The day's not over yet, but so far, this is the stupidest thing I've read. Let's look at this. Moby, who I didn't even know who Moby is. Apparently, this is some entertainer. I guess it's a singer, is it? I don't know. I don't even know who this is, but apparently, you guys probably know who it is. I don't know. Anyway, Moby, whoever he is, claims CIA asked him to post about Trump and Russia. Now, okay, that is the most bizarre sound I've ever heard, and I don't even know what it is. It sounds like a tornado siren, and we don't have tornadoes here. Sorry about that. I heard the most bizarre. I don't know if you got it on, you could hear it or not, but it was just extremely bizarre. It reminded me of tornado sirens when I lived down south, and I'm thinking, what is that? I've never even heard that sound before. Don't know what that was. Anyway, I guess we'll know in a minute if it was a tornado siren. If the screen suddenly goes black, I guess it really was a tornado. Anyway, I don't think we have such a thing as tornado sirens here, but anyway, I would be gobsmacked if we did because I've never known a tornado to be in this area. So anyway, Moby claims CIA asked him to post about Trump and Russia. Yes. And this is a bizarre man. This is a very bizarre man because there is another article on Fox, which I am declining to show you because it's so ridiculous, about him wanting to, or being at a party where Trump was and somebody challenging him or daring him, I guess. He was drunk and wanted him to go up to Trump and rub his private parts on him, which apparently he did. And on the edge of Trump's jacket, he was talking and did not, realize that this person had did this. But if that was you, would you admit it? Seriously. Like, this man obviously has, Anyway, okay, he's a singer, apparently. Singer Moby claimed his friends in the CIA asked him to spread the word that President Trump has ties to Russia, and because he has a larger social media following than the government agency, Moby, whose birth name is Richard Melville Hall, told Kentucky radio station WFPK in an interview this week that he has friends in the CIA who asked him for his help. The subject came up after the host, Kyle Meredith, asked the electronic singer about his cryptic Facebook post he wrote in 2017. The post stated that after he spent time with friends who work in D.C., he could accurately post that The Fusion GPS dossier was 100% real. He's being blackmailed by the Russian government. The Post also claimed Trump had colluded or has colluded with the Russian government and has been since day one, wants to go to war, and there are right-wing plans to get rid of Trump. Now, Moby said he wrote the Post because his friends, he claimed, are active and former CIA agents, asked him to pass on some information. Now, really, if your friends are CIA, would you ask this guy to pass on information for you? Seriously. No, come on, really, think about it. I wouldn't. Anyway, they were like, this is the Manchurian candidate, like Putin has a Russian agent as the president of the United States, he told Meredith. So they passed on some information to me and said, like, look, you have more of a social media following than any of us do. Can you please post some of these things just in a way that sort of put it out there? Right. Moby concluded by saying he didn't know if there was collusion, but where there is smoke, there's fire. Meredith, and not necessarily. Meredith and Moby spoke more about politics before ending the interview, asking the singer who he would like to see run for president next. Moby said his dream candidate would be former First Lady Michelle Obama. Should read former man First Lady Michelle Obama. Trump and Kremlin have repeatedly denied allegations that Russia and Trump campaign colluded in the 2016 presidential election. A special counsel led by former FBI Director Robert Mueller has been appointed to investigate the potential wrongdoing. So anyway, this guy claimed that it was his friends in the FBI that told him to say that. Now, this is from January, but it's coming up again because he is saying now that at a party he rubbed his flaccid private parts on the president, who I don't believe was the president at that time. So really, is this the kind of guy that you would trust? Not me. Sounds like another Jussie Smollett, if you ask me. Like, yeah, my friends in the CIA, they told me to say this stuff, so I did. Right. And then they asked me to rub my private parts on him, and I did. Okay, let's go back and let's see what other trouble we can get into. I'm sure there's something. Let me get rid of this so I'll know that I covered it. Because goodness knows you don't want me to go over it again, especially that one. All right, now this from Die Oppressor Lieber, and he's responding to Adam Schiff. And Adam Schiff says, I am shocked and saddened by the passing of my former colleague, Ellen Tauscher. Ellen was a consummate public servant for California and as a nuclear arms negotiator in the Obama administration. Her thoughtfulness, wisdom, and compassion for the less fortunate will be sorely missed. Now, this, Die Oppressor Lieber responded to this and said, I'm sure he's shocked and saddened by this untimely death of one of Hussein's nuclear arm negotiators. No telling what kind of damning dirt she had on Hussein and Clinton. She was connected with Feinstein, Clinton, all the cabal members. Yeah, untimely death indeed. I can just imagine what kind of untimely death she met. I think we all can. I think that's a little bit too much of a coincidence that she was a nuclear arms negotiator in the Obama administration, seeing as now Obama and Hillary are in the spotlight. Don't want her saying what she knows. Untimely death indeed. I'm sure Adam Schiff was shocked and saddened. I have no difficulty believing that. All right. Let's look at this again by Die Oppressor Lieber. And now, this is interesting, okay? Because Venezuela, of course, is first and foremost in the news right now, and there's a lot of stuff going on there. A lot of stuff. I saw this post from him previously, but I didn't, because I didn't know what to think about it. But now, I don't know, it's looking like he might have something here. He said, QAnon post from April 23rd, 2018, post number 1245. Look, the answer is Venezuela. Venezuela is the rogue nuclear state Q was referring to. This explains the heavy interest of Iran and Russia in Venezuela, and POTUS mentioning he had not ruled out sending in U.S. troops. Now, the more I think about this, the more I think that makes sense. It makes sense. And I've heard now that the deal is that Russia had wanted to put an intercontinental missile in, Venezuela. Well, that's a little bit too close for comfort, if you ask me. And I think POTUS is feeling that as well. So I would not rule out nuclear intervention here, or not nuclear, but rather military intervention here. Really, I'm thinking that it's imminent. I don't know. I hope I'm wrong. Or, I don't know. Maybe I don't hope I'm wrong, because the people in Venezuela are suffering terribly. And I just don't believe that personally, I don't believe that Trump is going to get us into an unnecessary war. He's not a stupid man. He's not. So anyway, let's look down here. And it says, think Saudi Arabia. Order is important. Saudi Arabia, North Korea, Armenia, Iran. Any other rogue nuclear states? Define hostage. Define protection. Who is protected by rogue nuclear states? Trust the plan. The world is connected. Why are border states like Arizona and California important? Why is MX vocal? MX. I'm not sure who MX. Unless it's Max, I don't know. Vocal against POTUS. Who are the loudest? Where we go one, we go all. The Great Awakening, Iron Eagle, Q. And now, Dio Presser Lieber, who has a very strong history of accurate decoding, believes that Q was referring to Venezuela as a rogue nuclear state. And, well, there's no doubt that it's rogue, especially now. But whether or not it's a nuclear state, we don't know. But there's I'm seeing it a lot. I'm seeing a lot of people thinking that, Russia is involved there and has, placed or is going to place a nuclear intercontinental ballistic missile in Venezuela. I don't know. I don't think any of us know at this point, but let's go on and look at a little bit more of this. Let's go back here and look at this. No, really. Look. U.S. FAA. All U.S. air operators in Venezuela asked to depart within 48 hours. Why? Why? Amidst mounting political instability in Venezuela, the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration issued a notice late Tuesday warning the U.S. air operators to move out of the Venezuelan airspace. Key details via Reuters prohibits U.S. air operators from flying below 26,000 feet over Venezuela's airspace until further notice. All U.S. air operators in Venezuela asked to depart within 48 hours. This comes after the Venezuelan opposition leader, Guaido, called on the armed forces to help him oust President Nicolas Maduro, reigniting the political turmoil and unrest. Now, we've seen that. We've seen the political turmoil and unrest, and we've seen that the government is now firing on the people. They're taking the tanks. They're running over people, much reminiscent of Tiananmen Square. So there is a lot of political turmoil, but I think it's interesting that they've ordered all planes out of Venezuelan airspace within 48 hours. I think something's coming. I really do. Now, let's go back here, and I think I have more on this. Let me see here. Yes. Now, this is interesting as well, because here we have Mike Pompeo saying that the U.S. Now, this is from today. So Pompeo says U.S. prepared to take military action in Venezuela. So, yeah. Now, let me stop this. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said Wednesday that the U.S. was prepared to take military action to stem the turmoil in Venezuela and was scheduled to speak with the Russian counterpart to discuss the Kremlin's role in the crisis. The president has been crystal clear and incredibly consistent. Military action is possible if that's what's required. That's what the United States will do, Pompeo said in an interview with Fox Business Network. We are trying to do everything we can to avoid violence. We'd prefer a peaceful transition of government there where President Nicolas Maduro leaves and a new election is held, he said. The top U.S. diplomat added that he expects lots of people taking to the streets today to defend their democracy. On Tuesday, President Trump threatened a full and complete embargo and sanctions against Cuba if its military did not immediately stop operations in Venezuela to shore up Maduro's regime. In addition to actions already taken by Team Trump to stop Cuba's support, there are more that we will continue to work on, Pompeo said, adding that we'll do the same for the Russians. As President Trump said, they gotta go, and the Russians need to have the cost for that race. He said, we are focused on making sure that we do what we can to take this malign activity, which is undermining Guaido, I guess I'm not sure how his name is pronounced, who is duly elected leader of Venezuela, and take these supports out from underneath Maduro so he will depart the country. National Security Advisor John Bolton said in interviews with CNN and Fox News on Wednesday that Pompeo planned to speak with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. Bolton would not elaborate on what the U.S. knew about Russian involvement affecting Maduro's plans, but he made clear that the Kremlin's interference was unwelcome. This is our hemisphere, he told reporters outside the White House. It's not where the Russians ought to be interfering. This is a mistake on their part. It's not going to lead to an improvement of relations. Meanwhile, Venezuela braced for protests Wednesday after the embattled Maduro and Guaido appealed to their supporters to take to the streets a day after violent clashes left scores injured. Today we continue, Guaido said, who leads the opposition-controlled National Assembly, wrote on Twitter early Wednesday, we will keep going with more strength than ever, Venezuela. On Tuesday, let me see. Guaido has invoked the Constitution to assume an interim presidency, arguing Maduro's May 2018 re-election was illegitimate. On Tuesday, Guaido called on the armed forces to join the final stage of Operation Liberty and remove the socialist president from power. While the opposition leader earned the backing of the U.S. and most Western countries, the military has stood by Maduro, who has the support of allies like Russia, China, and Cuba. So this is like a very tenuous situation, because we don't want to anger Russia and China, and nor Cuba, although, you know, we have the manpower to take out Cuba, but you know, Russia and China would come to their aid. So this is not an easy situation. And it's a little bit scary, to tell you the truth. Maduro has remained defiant despite protests calling for his ouster, and described Guaido's supporters as a small group whose plans had failed. The president urged his supporters to march on Wednesday. Tomorrow, the first day of May, we will have a large million-strong march of the working class, Maduro said in a TV address Tuesday. We have been confronting different types of aggression and attempted coups never before seen in our history. Meanwhile, the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs on Wednesday rejected a suggestion by Washington that Moscow had persuaded Maduro not to flee in the face of demonstration, calling the assertion part of an information war. Meanwhile, the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs on Wednesday rejected I just read that. Pompeo said in a TV interview Tuesday that Maduro had been preparing to leave the country amid Guaido's call for an uprising, but reversed his plan after the Kremlin intervened. Washington tried its best to demoralize the Venezuelan army and now uses fakes as part of an information war. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova told CNN when asked about Pompeo's comments. Moscow had previously accused the U.S. of trying to foment a coup in Venezuela and of trying to demoralize the military by spreading potentially morale-sinking fake news. Bolton said Tuesday that the opposition has the support of the U.S. and called on Venezuela's military to back Guaido and protect the Constitution. He named officials who he had said had been in secret talks with the opposition leader, including Defense Minister Vladimir Padrino Lopez. In the clashes Tuesday, a 25-year-old man died and dozens of people were injured by rubber bullets, tear gas, and live ammo across the country, according to officials. The nonprofit Venezuelan Observatory of Social Conflict said a man was fatally shot in the chest during a protest in the state of Aragua, according to the Washington Post. An armored vehicle ran into a group of Guaido supporters as hooded men from one of the pro-government gangs known as Colectivos fired live ammunition at protesters, witnesses said. At least 119 people were detained Tuesday across Venezuela, according to Foro Penal, a local group that tracks political detentions, the newspaper reported. So things are not good in Venezuela. I mean, all way round. I mean, not only do you have the fact that these people are starving, they have, I don't know what they're living on, and the food that other nations tried to get in never made it to the people. So, and then you've got the fact that the current person that's there is there illegally, and you've got Russia, China, and Cuba backing him. It's not a good situation. And I don't know, but it seems like there is let me see. I'll go back and see if I can find that for you and show you. It could be this. I hope this is what this is. Yeah, the U.S. Navy Nimitz-class aircraft carrier USS Dwight D. Eisenhower departed Norfolk, Virginia, 2019-04-26, so April 26, and was off AIS for 4 days and seems to be headed south off the East Coast. No firm proof, though. So this person had tweeted that the USS Nimitz-class aircraft carrier USS Dwight D. Eisenhower has departed and is traveling south. Now, it could mean something. It might not mean anything, but it's interesting considering. So, I don't know. Don't know what's happening, but I know that it's not a good situation. Now, I have to believe that it's under control. At least I hope that it's under control, but still not a good situation, and certainly not for the people of Venezuela. And it boggles my mind that there are still Democrats that are pushing for socialism in America. It boggles my mind. But I guess it shouldn't. After everything we've seen, it really shouldn't. All right. Now, let me get rid of this so I know that we've covered it. And this from Sean Hannity. Hannity is not holding back tonight. Criminal referrals are coming and here. This is now time we get this straight or say goodbye, USA. That is the truth. It's got to be now. Now's the time. We either have to get it right now or the United States is done, really. Because it seems like, if you look at societies if you study societies that have collapsed, which is most, you look at the signs, and the signs are here. So we either Trump is going to do everything he said he is going to do, which so far he has been, and we are going to save the republic, or it's not going to go well. And I think we all know that. I think we all know this is our last chance. I really do think that we all know that. And if not, then if you think, oh, it'll be fine, doesn't matter, then you haven't been paying attention, seriously. And I mean that with all due respect, because anybody that's been paying attention to what is really happening is, Trump is our only hope at this time. Certainly, now let me rephrase that, because I believe that God is our only hope. And I say that as a Christian. Now, I know you're not all believers, and that is fine. I'm not asking you to believe as I believe, but that is my belief. I believe that God is our only hope and our ultimate hope. But God can use human beings, and often he uses imperfect human beings, because that's all there are on this earth is imperfect human beings. We are all imperfect. So Trump is our hope, and I think many of us are hoping that God is directing him and leading him. At least I hope so, but that remains to be seen. And we want to see these people that have brought so much damage to our country. We want to see their actions have been treasonous, and we want to see them face justice. That's what we want. And I know you all feel the same way as I do. All right. Now, I wanted to show you this, although it's a little bit off subject. I know there's probably people listening that are from California. It's a great big state, so I'm pretty sure. But California tap water could be source of thousands of new cancer cases. Interesting. An alarming new study has found that drinking tap water in California over a lifetime could significantly increase your risk of developing cancer, and may have already contributed to more than 15,500 cases. The state's drinking water is contaminated with chemicals like arsenic, hexavalent, chromium, and radioactive elements such as uranium and radium, according to researchers at the Environmental Working Group, EWG, who published their findings in the journal Environmental Health on Tuesday. The team tested 2,737 different public water systems across California as part of their research, which served 98% of the state's population. The researchers then calculated the cancer risk by establishing the average contaminant levels between 2001 and 2015, then adding them together to create a lifetime risk. These water systems are regulated by the Federal Safe Drinking Water Act and overseen by state regulators, which are supposed to test for both regulated and unregulated contaminants. But as the EWG notes, legal doesn't always mean safe. The California Environmental Protection Agency told CNN that they would not be commenting on the study's findings. The study's lead author, Tasha Stobier, pointed out that this research is specific to California, and a risk assessment should be carried out in other communities. She added that simple steps like adding a water filter could greatly reduce exposure to the contaminants. This is precisely, even though I don't live in California, this is precisely why I do not drink tap water, because there is a corridor here, and in Ontario, where I'm temporarily living, there is a corridor here that is extremely high cancer, and I have never seen the likes of it. Everyone, every single day, I don't even think a day goes by that I don't hear of somebody else that I know or that is a friend of a friend that has cancer. It's rampant here. My mother has had cancer twice and survived. I have friends that have died from cancer here, and it's so prevalent. Unbelievably prevalent. Like when I lived down south, yes, I would hear of people getting cancer, but not like here. And I remember I would phone home, and every time I talked to my mom, it would be, oh, do you remember so-and-so? Yeah, well, they have cancer. They've only been given a few months to live. Or, you know so-and-so you went to school with? Yeah, well, she died from cancer. Like, every time I talked to my mom. And so I started really researching what it was. And I found out that the Ontario government, now we call our power, we call our electricity hydro because a lot of it was originally hydropower. So we call it hydro, Ontario Hydro. And when they were clearing the lines to put in the hydro lines across Ontario, guess what they used as a defoliator to get rid of the foliage. All the weeds and the flowers and the grass and everything that had grown up. They needed something to sweep through and defoliate. And so they used Agent Orange. Now, you don't think that seeped into all the groundwater? Oh, yes, it surely did. And so I'm thinking, no wonder everybody has cancer. And no wonder I have been searching and searching and searching for the answer to this, because it's like nobody keeps records on this. And so, yeah, I do not drink anything that comes out of a tap in this whole area. Absolutely not. So if you are in California, I would advise you to either get a really strong water filter or buy bottled water from a source that's pure. Now, I don't know what that would be, but I won't drink water here because too many people have gotten cancer. And where are they getting it? Well, if Agent Orange was used, back then everybody had wells. So it seeped into the groundwater. And so I don't know how long it remains there, but I know it's pretty deadly stuff. So anyway, I wanted to, when I saw that, I wanted to make sure that I got that out there because, I don't know, some of you may live in California or know people in California, and let them know their water is not safe. So, all right, let's go back now. And I wanted to, this is kind of off the political trail a little bit as well as the water was, so I grouped them together, but I did want you to see this. This is from Canada, but the same thing could happen in the States very, very easily. Father subject to arrest without warrant if he refuses to call daughter by male name. Now, things are getting very, very ridiculous in Canada. In fact, our new $1 coin is a picture of two men kissing. So things are getting really out of hand in Canada. I mean, very, very liberal to the point of, people say, don't be so open-minded that your brains fall out. Well, they've become so open-minded, their brains have fallen completely out. They're completely empty-headed now. Anyway, a Canadian court has warned a concerned father that he could be summarily arrested if he refuses to call his daughter by her preferred male name. As FaithWire previously reported, the dad, Clark, was convicted of charges of family violence after insisting on calling his teenage daughter by her birth name, Maxine. So that is ruled as violence in Canada. If you call, your son or daughter wants to be called by a different name because they're transitioning or whatever, or they identify as a male or female or whatever, and you call them by their birth name, that's apparently violence in Canada, and he was convicted of family violence. Now, according to the Federalist, the Supreme Court of British Columbia has issued a sweeping protection order in the case, threatening the dad with immediate arrest without a warrant should the police conclude there's reasonable ground to suggest he had privately or publicly referred to his daughter as a female. In addition, the court issued a gag order preventing the dad from discussing his case in the media. He is even prohibited from sharing court documents describing his own gag order. This is strange, not least because all the records are publicly available. All in all, the court has come down very heavily on the father, who is simply concerned for the welfare of his own child and wants her to carefully consider such a life-defining decision. What is the background? At the end of February, the Supreme Court of British Columbia ruled that the 14-year-old girl, Maxine, was eligible to receive her desired male hormone injections. This was decided without her parents' consent after Maxine decided on her own accord to become a boy. Clark insisted that in the months prior to this decision, Maxine had exhibited signs of emotional instability and depression and had been acting out sexually, even making a brief foray into lesbianism. Her father claimed that her mental health had been volatile since he and his wife underwent a divorce. He also claimed that Maxine's decision to become a boy was a result of this emotional strife and demanded that he be involved in her health care moving forward. However, despite his repeated pleas, the hospital administering her treatment, as well as the teenager school, refused to let the dad get involved. Clark's appeal against the ruling over the testosterone injections is set to be heard May 14th. I'm hearing this happening more and more. I heard a case of that in the States as well, where a mother had custody of the boy and claimed, a young boy, very young boy, and claimed that he wanted to be a girl, but the father had never seen any signs of that, and of course then he was not granted access to the child after that because he was questioning. And I think that that is perfectly reasonable for a parent to question a child, especially after a divorce has happened and the child is exhibiting emotional instability. Now, I know they'll argue, well, she's emotionally unstable because she's a man in a woman's body. That's what they'll argue. But of course, the father is saying, look, you know what? This has just come out of nowhere. Me and my wife have just gone through a divorce and she's been not stable. But yeah. So there you go. It's horrifying that your rights as a parent can be just absolutely, trod over. And, she wanted these testosterone shots, and she didn't need their permission. And I would assume it's the same way in the States. I don't know, but I would assume. All right, let's, of course I shouldn't assume because you know what assuming does. All right, let's take a look at this. Now, this from John Cardillo. Joe Biden's son, Hunter, the guy with big Ukraine problems, courtesy of his dad, was discharged from the Navy in 2014 after testing positive for cocaine use. Well. But you wouldn't know this because the mainstream media is fixated on Don and Eric Trump, who, by the way, have done nothing. That doesn't matter. Biden's son fails drug test, is discharged from Navy. The younger son of Vice President Joe Biden failed a drug test for cocaine a month after his commissioning last year into the Navy Reserve. That doesn't speak well of him, does it? A month after being commissioned. A month. So, yeah. But, everybody's too busy paying attention to the Trump kids, trying to get dirt on them. And now these I'm not going to go over right now. There was another church fire in Phoenix, and there was another church fire in Green Bay. I would guess that's Wisconsin. So both I believe they were both Catholic churches that were torched, and they were saved as far as I could see, but I'm not going to get into that now because there's I shouldn't say there's other more important news because that's important too, and that is something that we're seeing more and more and more of, and I think probably, unfortunately, we're going to see even more of it. And it's interesting because my friend was at her church has two services. Well, it's my church too, actually, but has two services, and in between the first and the second service, the pastor had come over to a group of them and said, do you know whose suitcase that is? Because it's been here, all through the service, since before the service, and maybe this was after the second service, I don't know, but anyway, it had been there a long time, this suitcase, and it's an odd thing for somebody to bring a suitcase to church. And so they were standing around, and my friend said to the pastor jokingly, is it ticking? Well, his face just fell, but everybody with her started laughing and making fun of her, saying, oh my gosh, like, but she said, well, unfortunately, that's the world we're living in now. And the pastor said, you know, you're right. That is the world we're living in now. I mean, what used to be ridiculous, like, oh, come on, nobody would do that. Yeah, they would. So it's a different world we're living in now. Totally different world. So yes, the church fires are important because it's something that is very indicative of a problem, a greater problem. But this is really critical news today about, the A.G. Barr, his testimony and so forth. This from the outlaw Josie Wales. Anyone else concerned that Barr needs Secret Service details sitting behind him inside Capitol Hill where he's testifying to Congress? I can't imagine this is standard procedure. SS has been alert and constantly scanning the room. Yeah, what's that about? Isn't that sad? Seriously, that's sad. That he needs an SS detail testifying to Congress. Yeah. All right. Now, I want to, I'm going to stop soon because I'm going to do a second video. But I want you to, this one's really long, so let me go to this one.
The Attorney General will be tested.
Now, this is my new hero, I'm telling you, Lindsey Graham, because if you could hear his full, and actually this one is the long one, maybe it's the other one that's shorter. Let me go find that, because it's something to behold. Let me see here. Okay, this is a shorter one. Let's get into this first, because this person, Jamie R., Army Girl, says, outstanding, Lindsey Graham. He won't call for Mueller to testify before Congress. I'm not going to do any more. Enough already. It's over. The patriots in this country are behind you. I'm done with the Dems slandering Attorney General Barr and our president. Agree? Now, listen to what he has to say.
Why not call for Mueller to testify?
Because I'm not going to do any more. Enough already. It's over. If there's any dispute about a conversation, then he'll come. But I'm not going to retry the case. I'm not calling McCann. It is over.
Yeah, you tell him. All right, now I am going to go back to this one. I'm not going to do the whole thing, although this is an incredible video, and if I could, it's 13 minutes and 53 seconds. The whole thing is gobsmackingly good. And, you know, during the whole thing, I'm like, yeah. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this in the comment section, okay? Or not the comment section, sorry, the description. It'll be in the description, the video description, so you can look for it there. And I would really highly, if you didn't catch this on Fox News, then I would highly suggest you listen to this, because really, it's just so good. It's so good. And I would play it for you, but sitting here for, you know, almost 14 minutes playing a video is silly for me to have a video of me playing a video. So I'm going to put that for you, and you can peruse it at your leisure. So there you go. Now I'm going to end this here, but I'm going to come back and do a little bit more news. All right, so that's it for this video, and hopefully everything recorded okay. Looks like it did. I hope that I'll see you back soon. And I hope that you have a great night. Sleep well, stay safe, and seek truth always, because deception bites.